almost everyone loves bacon. I've even seen some vegetarians sneaking bacon. The reason I like to make it myself is I can customize my flavors. Let me show you how I make bacon. So what I have here is 3 different types of salt. So this is table salt, this is Morton's kosher salt, and this 1/4 cup is diamond crystal salt. A 1/4 cup of table salt, this scale says that's weighing 49 grams. Let's see how much the Morton's kosher salt weighs. 1/4 cup of it, 66 grams. Let's try the 1/4 cup of diamond crystal, 33 grams, 34 grams. Diamond crystal literally weighs about half the amount of Morton's. That's why when people complain about me using weights and percentages instead of just using volume measurements, that's why I do it that way. Anywho, let's get on to making this bacon cure. How I'm going to make my bacon cure is I'm going to make 1 big batch of the cure, and that can be changed however you want to make your individual batch of bacon. So I'm going to use 150 grams of salt. I'm going to go 75 grams of brown sugar. Some people use equal amounts of sugar and salt. I find that to be a little too sweet. And my final ingredient on this is going to be cure number 1. I'm going to use 25 grams. And again, I will put percentages in the description box. This right here is a very basic bacon cure. Really nothing else is needed. If you were to cure a piece of pork belly in this and smoke it, people would know they're eating bacon. We're going to add some more to this. We're going to make bacon a few different ways here. But with this bacon cure, just as it is, it's going to go 2.5% of this cure. So if you had 1,000 grams of belly, you'd add 25 grams of this. What I have here is a pork belly, which is exactly what bacon is made out of. It's got a few like loose flaps, so I'm going to trim off anything loose like that and save that for sausage making later. Sorry about the lighting, folks. My power is out right now, so it means I don't have power for lights. I'm not sure how long the battery on this camera will last either. We'll find out. Or hopefully they'll get the power back on and I won't find out. So this end is a little fatter, so I'm just going to cut it right there, and I'll cut this in the middle here. I could square up the edges now and save this leftover for sausage making, which is what I'll do with that little bit of trim I got. But rather than square up the edges now, I'm going to make bacon out of all this, and I'll square up the edges after I make the bacon, and then I'll have some pieces for like making lardons or something. So for now, I'm going to take that thick section off, and then I'm going to cut this center section in half, and I'm going to make bacon 3 ways. Next step is going to be to weigh these pieces up. So I'm going to take the weight of one of these pieces, going to multiply that by 2.5% because that's how much of my bacon cure I need to add. And that'll tell me 66 grams for that piece. Write that down. And I'll just do the same thing for the rest of my ingredients. Now that I know how much cure and spices I need to add, I can get out my other scale, start mixing this up. All 3 of these bacons are going to start with that basic bacon cure I mixed up earlier. So for the maple one, I'm going to go in with my cure. And to that, I'm going to add just a little bit of black pepper. So that's going to be my maple one. For my black pepper one, it's also going to start with some of that basic bacon cure. To that, I'm going to add some black pepper, some red pepper flakes, and just a little bit of cayenne pepper. That's going to be my pepper cure. And finally, for what I'm going to call the savory one, once again, going to start with that basic bacon cure. I'm going to go in with some black pepper with this one too. Going to add some onion powder, a little bit of garlic powder, and I kind of want to brighten this up with some herbs. I'm going to use sage, but feel free to use whatever herbs you want. There's my plain one, savory one, whatever you prefer to call it. I'm just calling it plain and savory. I'm just going to take my pieces of bacon, going to spread this cure on it, kind of rub it in a little bit if I can. Won't all stick, but that's okay. As long as it all gets into the bag that it'll be curing in. Now, some people do use a lot more sugar, but I find that the bacon burns a little bit when I'm trying to cook it up if I put in equal amounts. I've seen a lot of people actually use equal amounts of sugar. So, you do you. I wouldn't use any less salt though. And I would leave the nitrite, but depending on what kind of smoker you're using, you could do it without the nitrite. You won't get the red color, the little pink red color. that we're used to seeing in bacon. And I wouldn't do it if your smoker doesn't have airflow. If you're using an offset, it'll have enough airflow. You could eliminate the nitrite. I would replace it with salt if I were going to do that. Okay, then I'm going to take a vacuum seal bag. You could use a large zip top. That would work fine. Now I'm just going to put this in my bag. And you can see most of that cure did get stuck to the meat. But I'm going to make sure to get every last bit of it into the bag. So I'm going to do that with my other tube. I'm just going to seal these up, label them. If you're using a zip top bag, I would just make sure to try to get as much air out of it as possible. And I'd probably leave it on a tray in the fridge because they can leak. Now I'll label it, date it, and keep moving along. Now for the maple one, I'm going to take some maple syrup and I'm just going to pour them in my bag. Try to get some on each side, although it's not totally critical because it will all even out in the next week or so in the refrigerator. Now a lot of times when I'm sealing these, I will have to push the seal button before the vacuum part wants to seal it, because otherwise it will suck the juice up into the part that seals and then it doesn't like to seal. That's definitely going to happen with all this extra syrup in here. See, as it starts pulling it out, that's when I'm just going to hit that. It's not quite as tight of a seal as it would be. That's fine. We're not trying to seal this for long-term storage. No, I'm just going to try to massage that syrup so it appears to be pretty evenly coating us. A little bit got past the seal, but it's okay. It still seems to make it an okay seal. Actually, no, it didn't. I better try that again. All right, we got it that time. So again, label this. I'm going to leave these in my refrigerator for about a week. I'm going to flip them over every day. You'll see it'll draw out some moisture. So I'll just try to massage it around, get everything even. And these will take about a week. This maple one's a little fatter. It's the fatter part of the belly. It might take closer to 2 weeks. I'll check with my Brian calculator, which I'll put a link for in the description. Basically, you just measure how thick it is, whether it's flat or round, punch your numbers into the calculator, and it'll tell you how long it needs to cure for. So into the refrigerator, and I'll see you all in a week or two. All right, my bacon has been in the refrigerator for almost 3 weeks. I could have taken it out a bit sooner. That's the beauty of this equilibrium cure method, is really won't absorb any more salt than it's able to absorb. So you can let it go a little longer if that happens. Here's my herb bacon, my pepper bacon, and my maple bacon. I'm going to go rinse these off in the sink, and I'll be right back. Here's my pepper bacon. Here's my maple bacon. Rinsed them off. I'm just going to blot them dry. Both sides. For the pepper bacon, I'm going to crack some more pepper on top of it. Pepper cannon. Totally awesome grinder. Maybe the best one ever. Certainly the last one you'll ever need in your lifetime. So I'm going to pat that in a little bit. Flip it over. And put some on the other side too. For my maple one, I'm going to brush a little more maple syrup onto this. And again, we'll hit up both sides. Got this on a tray with a rack on it so it has some airflow underneath. This is going to go straight into my refrigerator for 24 to 48 hours so it can develop a pellicle, which is a dry layer. It's like a sticky skin. That's going to help the smoke stick to it. So into the refrigerator, bring it out in 24 to 48 hours. This one here is the herb bacon. All I'm going to do for this is blot it dry. And I'm going to put that in the refrigerator for 24 to 48 hours, just like it is. See you all when I'm ready for the next step. These have been in the refrigerator, just hanging out just like this for about 24 hours. Ready to put them out on the smoker. Let's go. Just got my charcoal going in my smoker. And I got just a few splits of alder. I'll get a bunch more, using some real small ones because I'm trying to keep the heat low for the first couple hours.
I'm using alder because honestly it's a very plentiful wood where I'm at. It's a mild smoke. I like the smoke. It doesn't make a ton of heat, so it's easy to keep a low heat in the smoker. And this bacon's going to take quite a few hours, so wouldn't recommend using a wood that gives a heavy smoke. I just like the flavor of the alder smoke. So yeah, we'll let that burn down, get some wood on it, and then we'll get the bacon on. Charcoal's starting to burn, got some splits on. Once those burn down a little, the smoke cleans up, I'll get my bacon on. Right, this is starting to get up to temp. Kind of want to start it around 125 to 150 for the first hour. I'm going to raise it about 25 degrees pretty much every hour or so. Those splits that I put on haven't burned down quite all the way, but it's looking pretty clean, so I think I'm going to put the bacon on now. Got my bacon on my smoker. It's running right around 125. Like I said, I'll bump it up 25 degrees for every hour or so. Got my probe in the fattest one. Honestly, I'm not going for a specific temperature as much as I'm going for a smoke color. I mean, I want it to be between 130 and 150 or so. I've seen people do bacon to many different temperatures. It's kind of a personal preference. You're going to slice it and fry it anyway. Let me close this, keep the heat. We'll check back on these later. It's been 3 hours. We're running pretty much at 175. Probably going to keep it at 175 to 200 for the rest of this. Let's have a look. Getting a little bit of a smoky color on it. That's the maple, pepper. Can't really see that too well, but that's the herb one. And yeah, this is probably the last look we'll get at it in the smoker because it's just starting to get dark out and I'm not going to set a light up out here. I'll show this to you again when I bring it in.
All right, they're finally done. A little over 6 hours. I said it started about an hour at 125, an hour at 150, about an hour at 175, and then I just finished them at 200 for the last 2 or 3 hours, so they were done. So I got my maple, my pepper, and my herb. I'm just going to leave these out to cool down a little bit so I can put them in the refrigerator. You could eat these right now, but it's very hard to slice a thin slice of bacon when it's all warm like that. So it'll slice a lot better when it's cold. Slice them up, fry it up, give it a taste. All right, see you in the morning. Oh yeah, there's the bacon. I like my bacon thick sliced, so I've got my slicer set to the 4mm setting. Let's give it a go. The beauty of making your own bacon is you can slice it however thick you want to slice it. Hard to get it uniform if you're doing it with a knife. One reason to get a slicer. Now I find when I'm wrapping something like a jalapeno popper, I like thin sliced bacon for that. So I think I'll go down to about half of this. I think I'll do it at a 2. Let's see what a 2 looks like. Perfect. Yep, that's about right for me. That'll wrap up real nice around anything. So that's how I like to do it. I'm going to slice up the rest of this, slice up some of the other ones. See you in just a few minutes here. Then I like to just seal up my bacon, little packages, you know, so I can just take one out of the freezer at a time, label them, date them, cut some thick because I like to cook up my bacon thick for eating straight, but cut some thin because I find that to be better for bacon wrapped things, bacon wrapped jalapenos, bacon wrapped chicken breasts, bacon wrapped anything. I like the thin stuff better for that. So I got a nice little variety here, and I'll just put them in the freezer, be good to go. But I can't close out a video without tasting some. So let's see how this all came out. All right, it's time to eat bacon. It smells really good in my house because it always smells good when you cook bacon. I think I'm going to start out with the herb bacon. Yeah, it's a good piece of bacon. Herbs aren't real overpowering. They just they're like a supporting character. Just kind of adds a little bit of brightness to it. Lightens up what's otherwise, you know, a heavy, fatty snack. Let's move on to the pepper one. Yep, I like this pepper one a little better than I like the herb one. That's just a classic pepper bacon. I will say this bacon I'm making here is a little less sweet than what you would typically buy at the store. If you want yours sweeter, you could add a little more sugar. I love bacon. Just gives you that warm, fuzzy feeling. It's comfort food, you know? All right, next, the maple bacon. This piece got maybe a little overcooked because, you know, the sugars, extra sugar in this piece. I didn't watch it close enough, but the ends will be good. Oh, yeah. That's my favorite. My ranking of these three is that the herb bacon is good, the pepper bacon is great, and the maple bacon is freaking amazing. Definitely my favorite. Well, folks, that's all I got for you today. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up. If you like this kind of content, subscribe to my channel. You probably like some of my other videos too. If you want to support me and my channel making these videos, you can go ahead and drop me a tip with a super thanks. But whatever you do, make sure you put some love into the food you make. Peace, y'all.